Alrighty, I'm going to share my screen with you, Duffy, and we are going to get started.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome everybody. Duffy, to give you some perspective, we usually just kind of get started because the majority of what we're doing here is asynchronous. We don't really, people are probably in class, people are probably still asleep, so we just kind of go when we start. It's it's Smash Day. It's Smash on Fridays. I'm excited for this one. Give everybody a little bit of perspective. I know very little about Smash. I played it casually, but as far as, higher level play goes, we talk a lot about neutral airs and back airs and all kinds of moves that I understand conceptually but have never put into practice in my own gameplay. So I'm excited. Today I have brought Duffy. Duffy is our Super Smash Bros. Coach and top rank 4th, rank 6th. Where are you in New Hampshire PR?
This season I'm seventh.
All right, okay.
So a lot of people are getting really good at the game.
Good. You're peak
So
2, if I recall correctly?
peaked at two. Yep, that was
Cool.
right before COVID.
Nice. So what's your history with Smash? How long have you been playing? You're a Yoshi main based on everything that I've seen for the past few years. And do you want to tell us a little bit about your coaching style and kind of philosophy as well?
Yeah, sure. So I've been competing in Smash since 2015. I've been playing Smash forever.
Cool.
And let's see. Yeah, I started along with some other smashers, a basically a club at SNHU, and about 2 years ago it became a full varsity thing, which was really exciting. And then I graduated right around that time, and that's when you brought me on as coach. So I've been coaching for about a year and a half, I think,
Yeah,
if I got
somewhere
that
around
right.
there.
Yeah, and it's been great. It's been a learning experience for me, because I never really saw myself as a coach, but then I was presented with this opportunity, and I thought, like, you know, yeah, absolutely, why not? This sounds like a great opportunity. As far as my coaching style, I think I tend to focus on individual specific interactions in the game. I think I'm still working on trying to provide feedback when it comes to more overall macro, um, kind of high level gameplay. But yeah, I'm sure I can give Steven some good feedback here,
Cool. That
as
sounds
he's
good.
one of our one of our players.
Yeah,
So
right. So Steven is one of our varsity players. Steven ranked top 10, right?
yep, he got this was his first season being ranked. He got 10th.
Cool. Congratulations, Steven. Steven is a
Congrats.
Mario player. Mario in general. So I'm going to be, as I mentioned at the top here. Actually, before we get into VOD review and this matchup and that sort of stuff, one thing that I do want to give as a disclaimer to kind of all of our Smash players who might be interested in doing VOD review with us, I recognize that getting games recorded for Smash is much more difficult than all of our other games. You need a capture card and some sort of setup in order to do it. We are working on a way in the arena, at least, to work on to make it possible for you to play at least either in person or if you're doing online from the arena matches recorded. We want to make sure that we kind of provide that opportunity for people. It might not be up and ready, today. Hopefully next week we'll work on it a little bit. See what we can do as far as that offering goes. Um, if you are not a local SNHU player, you're not coming into campus to play in the arena, I recommend going to locals. So as you can see, Stephen, this is actually from a nearby local to Manchester that our players play in pretty frequently. Do they record all of the top 8? Is that how they do it, Duffy?
Don't know if they do all of top eight. It kind of depends on time. This week was incredibly stacked. There was like I think like 35 entrants, which was like
Wow.
a lot more than usual.
Sure.
So I think they probably did like top 4 or 5 for stream.
Cool. Got it. Okay. Well, there's some opportunities there if they have a setup that they have the ability to record at one of your locals. Try to get your game recorded. That way you can get us a VOD that way. You can always go down the option of buying your own capture card and recording your gameplay. I don't necessarily know that that is. It's up to you whether or not you kind of want to do that. But there are some other options that you can work on. Do you have any recommendations, Duffy, for that other than buying the equipment yourself or finding it at a local or a larger tournament?
I mean that's usually my recommendation, pretty much. I mean, you can save replays, so you know, if that's all you got, that's all you got. I actually used to bring my cell phone around on a tripod and record
Sure.
games,
Yep.
but
Um, maybe we can.
sometimes you got to get creative.
Yeah, maybe we can go down the path of being able to play replays in. Like, I can get a Switch set up to my stream here, and we can see if we can work that way as well. Um, yeah, okay. So just that disclaimer, I want to let the Smash community here know. I recognize it's harder. We're going to try to make it available in the arena so that it's a little bit easier for those of you on campus. We'll go from there. Okay, so before we get into any actual gameplay, I want to talk about character selection here, what types of characters these generally are. Based on my understanding, Mario is kind of a combo all-around player, and Inkling is same, if I understand correctly. But as mentioned at the start of the broadcast, Smash is probably my weakest knowledge game of the five. That we kind of support here in VOD Review and on Varsity. So, what do you think, Duffy? Could you enlighten me a little bit, at least on matchup and characters?
Yeah, so I mean, you definitely got the Mario thing right. I mean, he's all about combos. He's pretty much always looking to find a way to get in against his opponent, and open them up, usually with a grab or a falling aerial, like back air, or sometimes even a rising aerial with up air. They might just run at their opponent and start throwing out those up airs because they link into each other so easily. Um, so it's pretty easy for Mario to convert a stray hit into 50 damage or upwards. Um, Inkling, on the other hand, Inkling definitely has some combos, but not to the degree that Mario does. They have pretty similar ranges, so they're not really going to be like outranging each other that much. The one exception to that, I would say, is Inkling's back air, which you're probably going to see a lot of from DZ here. Inkling's back air is disjointed, very fast, and has basically no landing lag. So it's a really good walling tool to just keep your opponent at bay. And Mario, although he does have a nice backer of his own, it's not disjointed. So it'll probably just kind of lose to Inkling's backer. So I expect DZ to play more of like a kind of a walling like stay away from me kind of play style.
Sure. Yeah,
Um,
trying to keep Mario away
yeah,
from getting the combos. All right, well, let's get started. Let me know uh, when you would like me to pause. If I see anything, obviously, with my limited knowledge of Smash, I'm gonna get a pause in, but I'm gonna let you kind of drive for the most part. So just give me a heads up when you want to pause. You want to talk about something that's going on here.
sure.
Is anybody in chat that knows this? Like, Steven, are you in chat right now? Is there no sound to this VOD? Or am I just. Have I messed something up here?
If they if they plugged a speaker into the Switch, that would have gotten rid of the sound,
Oh,
which
really?
sometimes happens.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure I'm doing the streaming thing appropriately. Okay. We're going.
Yeah, so you can see already Inkling's kind of like running away a little bit, and
Yeah, I mean
Mario's just trying to find a way to get in.
the name of this game is basically just going to be Steven trying to rush down and get a combo off, right? Find
Yeah,
an
pretty
opening
much.
for a combo and then follow up on it.
Yeah, so like this damage, like it looks kind of bad, but
It gets made up for pretty quickly based on what
it
I've
gets
seen
made up
with
pretty
Mario,
quickly.
right? Like you can just
Yeah,
even that out with one combo.
yeah, pretty much. So far there's been a few like stray hits, but I don't know. This could just be something that um actually, do you mind pausing for a second?
Yeah, happily.
Um, there's been a few stray hits where I feel like Steven could have converted into a lot more, but I don't know. When I see someone like drop a combo, it's hard to prescribe to them that like, oh well, you need to go work on that because like everyone drops combos sometimes.
Yep.
Um, so it could be something where it's like, oh, you've been like consistently missing that, then you should probably go work on it. But it could also just be like, oh yeah, everyone drops those sometimes. So
Right. One
um,
question that I have, as like I said, limited knowledge in Smash, and particularly very limited knowledge with Inkling. I played Splatoon, but not like I've never played Inkling in Smash. How does Ink Meter work? Should Steven be approaching things differently based on Ink Meter?
um,
Like I know, like you
based
generally
on
don't want to try to fight Joker when he has his power up, right?
yeah,
Is Inkling kind of the same?
Inkling's almost like the opposite, I would say. Like you don't really have to worry if Inkling has ink, but if they're low on ink, that can kind of give you I think you should try to be aware of if they try to refill because if once they try to refill their ink, they're very vulnerable.
Sure.
Um, what you do need to watch out for is if you have ink on your own character, because that makes all of Inkling's moves deal more damage.
Got it.
Um, so what I typically do if I get inked, then I kind of go into just like full on runaway mode. I just start camping because I don't want to give them any extra damage that I could be avoiding. So like if I'm gonna fight them, I want to fight them when I'm totally clean and have no ink on me.
Right. So we're kind of like, I mean, that's relevant kind of at the start of this VOD going into thinking like how to fight an Inkling, right? Like either you can punish like them regenerating ink, right? Like that could be a opening window for combo, and you try to rush them down, and or until that time playing like fairly passive, not necessarily fully camping off, but like not necessarily trying to go for combos while they have all their resources, right?
Yeah,
Cool. All right, keep going.
and that's one thing you have to be aware of at a high percent is Inkling has a kill combo up throw into up air. Um, just something to be aware of when you're at that percent.
Sure. And I guess the other thing of note is like going down a stock is actually even harder because they do get that free refill, right?
Yep. They get the free refill, and then also they have the lead, which is Inkling plays really well with the lead, because they want you to run into them, and
Yeah, and that's kind of like
it,
so. Would you say that this is a disadvantageous matchup for Mario because like the name of the game here is run them down and combo them, and Inkling's name of the game is do not come near me?
I wouldn't say it's really. I mean, I don't main either of these characters, so it's hard to say exactly, but
Sure.
this feels like an even matchup to me.
Okay.
Um,
That's just how it plays out, right? It's not necessarily that it is a big disadvantage. It's just that that is the name of the
yeah,
game here. Okay, cool.
yeah,
Just
and I
giving
think
me
it kind of
perspective.
depends on like who gets the lead. Like whoever gets the lead is going to have an advantage no matter what.
Sure. Good approach. Good combo.
Yeah, now he's hitting those stray hits. Actually, yeah, can you pause for a second
Yep.
and actually go back maybe like 15 seconds if you can?
We
This
are
is probably
here.
good.
You let me know where.
I think this is good. I'm getting the feeling that Steven is kind of just holding forward always.
Yep.
It's like it kind of feels like any opportunity, anytime Steven's character is like actionable, kind of feels like he's just holding
He's just
forward.
moving forward. Yeah. And it looks like all the way across the map too, right? Like he had mid control there for a while, and he was really pushing forward towards England, who was barely on edge, right, and trying to maintain that mid control, but just pressing W, right, and then to try to retake it, it was the exact same thing.
Yeah. So like against a character that wants to wall you out, like Inkling, or it could be Palutena, or any number of characters that like to play like this. I think it's more important to choose your openings a little more carefully. I mean, so far on this second stock, they're kind of going blow for blow, but there's been a few moments or multiple instances where um DZ is able to just get a few free hits because Steven's just kind of running in as soon as he gets the opportunity.
Yep.
And it's this kind of like phenomenon when this happens, it reminds me of like paddle ball, where you have like the rubber ball on the string, like bouncing off of the wooden paddle.
Yep.
It's like your opponent hits you away, and then like as soon as you're able to, you run straight back into them, and then they hit you away again.
Yeah, and
So it's like
you get into like that pattern, right, where like it is easy to hit because it's like repetitive, you know.
yeah, and then your opponent knows exactly what to expect. It's like, okay, as soon as they hit them away, I know exactly when they're gonna come back. Um, so it's like you want to like break that tether. You want to like kind of snap that string. Um, so anyway, we can let this go.
Yeah, keep an eye on it.
Yeah. So there it is again. He's just kind of holding forward, and then he got a free grab.
Yep. What? Okay, so like we're recognizing that that is a potential habit that Steven's got, kind of at least in this game. What are the other options? Is it just like, because I assume that Fireball isn't that strong from far away? Is it just changing? Is it just anything that changes it up, or are there other abilities that he can utilize to try to make that a little bit more
Um,
varied?
well, with Mario, you have a couple of options. I mean, you have Fireball, like full hop Fireball is pretty safe from like mid range. And like you are actionable once you hit the ground, and Fireball is still active.
Yep.
Um, so it's pretty good. You have Flood to disrupt their movement. Um, I don't think I've seen Steven charge much Flood so far.
Yeah, I think I saw one.
Yeah. Flood is really good because Inkling is always going to be moving around. They like to kind of dash back and forth and short hop. Flood is really good because it either completely moves your opponent to where they don't want to be, or it forces them to sit there and shield for a little bit.
Right.
Um, which doesn't seem like a lot, but you're at least saying to your opponent like, "Hey, you actually can't just do whatever you want for free. Like you do have to. It's like I'm in control at least for this minor little piece of time." Um, aside from like character specific things,
Well, to give you some quick perspective too, Duffy, just
oh sure, go
I'm
ahead.
starting to put some notes down here, and these are kind of what we're going to track for Steven. We're gonna have general notes. We're gonna have matchup notes, and then I think I'm kind of undecided for the third one. I want to distill basically what I've been doing with all these VOD reviews is distilling everything down to like some pretty specific information. Like I don't want to give everybody like here is a page of stuff that you should be focused on or working on. Right? I want a couple things. Um, so in the matchup, we can. Would you say that this is matchup dependent, or is this like a habit that Mario players have, for example? Um,
What, just holding forward?
holding forward because they're so combo based and they're really trying to like get that rush down happening.
Um, I'd say it's a habit that's common a lot uh across a lot of characters.
Sure.
Mario being one of them, but yeah, it's a common enough.
Okay, so I think what I want to do for Smash Notes, just as what we're looking at towards the end, so we can provide Stephen, direct things to be working on. I want to do general, so like general things that I flagged so far, like dropped a couple of combos, which, as you said, isn't the end of the world, but might be something worth practicing a little bit further. Obviously, as a Mario player, I'm sure he does that enough, but can always practice more. I want to give matchup notes and then character notes. So like playing the matchup because my guess is, I mean, Steven's a Mario main. He's going to run into other Inklings, so the matchup notes are going to be stuff specific to Inkling, and those are probably going to be the like recommendations that vary the most. But character notes will be kind of everlasting, So I think putting into character notes, just pressing W, for lack of a better term, might be a
Yeah, that
character
works.
note that we're giving, right? So there's going to be kind of the three categories that I think that we're going to take a look at. General could be, I think, also considered like mechanics or tech or something to that effect.
Sure, sure.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay. Actually, could you go back I think 10 seconds?
Sure. I've gone back
That should be
further. Just yeah, yeah. This is kind of before that fight.
there was something I noticed when they were on the left side of the screen. It's after this, so we'll just
Sure.
keep
Yeah,
letting it
we'll just
play.
keep it going.
Yeah. Um Something that kind of goes along with just holding forward is you start to play kind of more antsy, and you're just kind of letting things rip. Um,
Yeah. So we actually, just to give you some perspective, we identified this with an Overwatch player, for example,
oh,
yesterday, who was just like effectively pressing W, the same idea, like just running at the people in front of them, and making it much more stressful than it needed to be for themselves. Like they were running into the action, and then they had to 180 to heal somebody, and 180 to shoot somebody else, and 180 to heal somebody again, right? Um, and in Valorant, you kind of see a similar thing too with lower level players, especially with like the classic pistol, for example, like because it's a weaker gun people just spam it, right? Like because they're like, oh well, I got to shoot a lot of bullets very fast, and that's not really exactly what you should be doing. You should be shooting with a slower cadence and not getting overwhelmed. So I think just like the general pressing W effect ends up just kind of scattering people's brains
mm,
and kind of putting them at this frenzied pace, right, where you can slow down and calm down and think about it a little bit more consistently.
yeah, yeah, definitely. That's interesting that it applies across games because that's pretty much my next point is that um, you do need to just kind of like take a breath and observe um, like what is actually going on screen. Because like sometimes like if you let it play, there was an up smash that Steven went for that should have worked, but because he was too antsy, he let it go too early.
Yep,
But if he just had a better presence of mind, it was that one.
that one right there. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I think if he was just a little more patient, basically,
Yep.
and just waiting for the right moment, I think he would have been ready to hit that up smash.
All right. I'm gonna just gonna jot that down in general real quick.
And I think it's like if you're spending so much time pressing buttons and holding forward, then you're not taking the time to just observe what the opponent is
Yeah.
doing.
How are they reacting? What are they actually doing? Especially in like that scenario is very. It was just like they were falling out of the air, and he just hit it too
Yeah.
quick. Right? Yeah. It's
Yeah, so it's like
fast,
he
but
had the right recognition, like he knew what the like that was the correct answer in that situation.
Yep.
So it was almost like he reacted too quickly, which it's like a guess a good problem to have.
Yeah, sure.
At least your reaction time is on point, you know.
Yep. All right. Good rush down and we're even.
There was. Can you go up like 5 seconds back?
Yep.
Just another example of kind of the same thing. Uh, so when Stephen back airs the shield there, um, if you back air a shield like that, you don't have any guaranteed follow ups.
Yep.
So he went for a read there, which is okay. I know back air is really safe. I think they're gonna keep holding shield because I could follow up with another attack right away. Um, but DZ didn't hold shield. He full hopped out of shield. So if Steven had instead just back aired their shield and then just waited to see what they do, he could have responded in a much better way instead of just going for really an assumption that they're going to hold shield.
Yeah, I guess the thought there being kind of along the same track that we've been following down, like
Yeah,
don't necessarily think two moves like you're two moves ahead, only necessarily playing at one move because like if you think I'm gonna back air this shield and then I'm going to try to rush him down because I think he's going to keep holding shield, or I'm going to try to grab because I think he's still holding shield, right? Just say, I'm going to back air this shield and see what he does, and then respond to it appropriately, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And then maybe game three, if you've back aired his shield like 12 times, a dozen times already, and he always holds shield, then maybe yeah, maybe you can go for that read.
Yep.
But you need some data first to like be confident to go for that.
Yep. Stuck in the ground.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to like beat a dead horse or anything, but I think pretty much why most of that happened was kind of just the antiness and not really taking a second to like breathe and just be aware of what the current situation is.
Sure.
Um, because I think Steven was just pressing too many buttons there.
Map preferences in this matchup. Was there any particular? Obviously, he had to play around the two platforms. There is Final Destination better here, that style, or
FD is actually the one stage I always try to avoid against Inkling.
yep.
Um, if only just because of roller.
Yeah, fair. They kind of own that whole ground with it.
Yeah, if you're ever like worried about roller, you can just stand on a platform and there's basically nothing they can do.
Yep.
Or at least they can't hit you with roller. I mean, they can pressure the platform, but at least you're avoiding roller.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so I mean, Mario, I feel like he has so many stages that he's good on. So kind of comes down to personal preference. And I think we went to small battlefield. I mean, that's a
Yep.
fine pick.
Sure.
So in a situation like this, like when if um if Inkling gets a bunch of ink on me with their splatter shot, um I'm really not inclined to approach them. I might go into full like runaway mode, or I might just kind of like stand there and wait for them to approach me. Um, but Steven took the other approach and just again just kind of running forward, and that just gave DZ a free opening to get his little combo off.
Yeah, I think the same thing that we've seen.
Yeah,
It kind of seems like regardless of what they are doing, Steven is like, I am going to try to open a combo.
yeah. Another thing to think about with Inkling is they're really good at catching landings. Actually, I don't mind if you let this keep playing.
Sure.
Um, they're really good at catching landings because when they're dashing, their hurt box is really low to the ground,
Because
and
of
they have
the
a
form that they take, or what I forget what it's called. Squid
right,
form. Yeah.
yeah. And they have a really good pivot grab. They have roller to hard punish you for landing poorly. Um, so when I think about if I'm starting to get like juggled or like put in the air against Inkling, I'm really trying to be careful about how I land. And oh my gosh, what I don't
Yeah.
even know what happened there.
I don't either. We can go back and redo that stock if
Yeah,
you'd like.
that was crazy.
Okay.
So
We're
that's
going
just
back quite
another
a bit,
matchup
but
thing.
yep.
That's okay. It's just another matchup thing to think about against Inkling. It's like, okay, I'm in the air against Inkling. I probably want to try to land on a platform or just be really careful about how I'm getting back to the ground. Like that was really good actually, because he threw out the air dodge, but then instead of landing on stage, where Inkling could probably punish it, he just went to ledge, which is a lot safer.
Yep. I think that this is Steven, sorry to make you watch this these two stocks over and over because they're tough, but I mean, we want to make sure that we're catching things that we can and giving good advice.
So you saw the
Obviously,
pivot grab.
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're
Just
good. I
had
think
to point that out.
this is the example of kind of what you were showing before.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think like when you see this play, for example, him landing on ledge was good, but he is aware that you are going to at every opportunity when your feet hit the ground, you are going at him, and he's just been able to kind of capitalize on that. I think that they are now reading your tendencies there.
Yeah, yeah. So DZ's made the observations from game one that Steven's holding forward, and now it's she's getting punished for it.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
I see.
tough.
There was that back air into grab again.
Yep.
Just another matchup, Inkling matchup thing. When they hit your roller with shield, it's pretty darn punishable. Like you saw, Steven had time to drop shield and down smash. You can pretty much let anything rip after they hit your shield. If they can jump, um, but I believe they can only jump forward if I'm not mistaken. So they're going to be like jumping over your shield.
Hmm.
So pretty much anytime they hit your shield with roller, that's a free up smash, which I think would have killed. But it's just something to keep in mind. If they hit your shield, it's like an automatic response. You can just up smash.
Yep.
Okay, caught him slacking with the reaction time.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna see
Yeah.
if we can. I'm gonna pull this up over here and see if we can find. Are there any? I'm gonna search for a Mario versus Inkling VOD, just because I want to see the matchup from a different perspective, maybe from um, professional player.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a good idea.
is there any particular Mario players that you are aware of that I could be taking a look up at here?
There's no shortage of Mario players. And Mario VODs. I would say Dark Wizzy, and also Kurama. The trouble is going to be finding Inkling
Yeah.
VODs because not a very popular character nowadays.
How is
Um,
Cosmos? Cosmos a good player?
Yeah,
All right, we'll go with that. We found one.
yeah, it's probably going to be an older VOD.
It is probably going to be an older VOD. I mean, you do y'all have
That's okay.
patches?
Yes.
Okay. I am
Although I don't think Inkling and Mario really got touched
sure.
at all in the patches.
So
I think they
really,
just kind of fell out of favor in the meta.
why is it a question mark? Can I not play a YouTube video on Twitch right now? Oh, do you want to know what? It's not sharing the correct. There we go. That's why. I'm sorry. Input issue. It's an input
Oh,
issue.
okay.
My bad. I was like, what is happening? We just have to switch over to something else. Sorry, everybody. Every day we learn. Please hold.
Could use some Jeopardy music.
Right? Yeah, music and sound is one thing that I have not worked on this week that I will definitely be working on more next week. There we go. We did it. And now I am also going to share that to you, Duffy. Sorry.
Okay.
We did it. Okay.
Let's
So
see.
some of the things that we're going to be looking for, just because of the notes that we saw here, primarily how the Mario is focused on ink regeneration, whether or not he has ink on him, um, and more specifically, I think approaches to kind of rushdown combos instead of pressing that W. You did. I saw Steven kind of start to change it up in third, or on your third stock of that last game. But the issue kind of with um, Inkling having that good ground to air, for lack of a better term. I don't remember how you guys call it in Smash, but like
Yeah,
ground to
no,
air
that's I mean that's
defense, right?
yeah.
It's hard to kind of approach from that top. So really trying to get an understanding of how to do so.
I'm glad we're looking at Dark Wizzy because actually I think Steven plays more like Kurama.
Okay.
Kurama's a lot more like focused on optimal combos and like he's much more focused on the offense.
Yep.
I think Dark Wizzy's a lot more focused on the neutral and defense.
Yep. I mean
Um,
that was a good example. Got ink on him, ran away for a couple seconds, but then tried to get into a fight and absolutely got destroyed in that fight, right?
mhm.
Pretty quickly. So how long does that actually take to fall off? Is it a time based
Um,
thing or
yeah, it's time based. I mean, I don't know exactly, but it's probably like depending on how much you have. Like with the amount that Mario has on him now, it's probably like 10 to 15
okay?
seconds. I
All
don't
right,
know.
so it does. Yeah, it goes up as I get on. It just I don't know. So
I mean, you can already see it just from the way he's standing on that respawn platform, taking his time,
yeah,
and then
taking
right
his time.
afterwards, if you go back to when he dropped it down from the platform, he just a little bit farther back. Um,
Okay, we're gonna watch.
trying to
We're
get
gonna
it.
see
Yeah,
the
there
kill
we go.
again, and then we'll do it. Yep.
Off the respawn. So he uses the respawn invincibility just to try to get something. He doesn't find what he's looking for, so then he backs up. Because Inkling has that splatter shot. He's not really trying to deal with it directly. He tries to go over, just being a lot more patient and calculated with the way he's trying to approach. You can
Yeah.
see there, he just stood in place. He didn't actually move. He just stood there underneath the platform and waited for Inkling to run into him.
Yep. And if you can see, he is keeping the basically the minimum distance of this splatter shot. It's like where he's like standing. from further
Hmm.
away, and he's doing these like almost bunny hops to try to bait this out, and then trying to go over it with fireball and open, right, as opposed to
Hmm.
just the like W rush down getting in, um, and he's varying it.
Yeah, and you can see now that Inkling's a lot lower on ink. He tried to go for a more direct approach, and it like kind of worked.
Yep.
Yeah, parrying those back airs, that's a big thing. Um, Inkling's definitely going to try to land with back air if they can.
Yeah, and you can see like his every just straightforward approach has been to try to take center map again. It hasn't been to try to pressure on edge or anything like that.
Yeah, I think Dark Wizzy definitely likes to have stage control. Okay, it had the read, but yeah, just misinput. Okay. We're definitely seeing a lot more flood and fireball
Yep.
overall. Although it seems like Dark Wizzy has been holding forward with fireball a little bit, and he's been getting back aired. You can also just fireball in place or even drift a little bit backwards with it to make it a little safer.
Yeah,
Just hold the
that's
shield like a
exactly
controller.
that's the up smash, right? That you were talking about, or is that back air?
Yeah, yeah, you can definitely up smash that. I think Dark Wizzy didn't go for it because it wouldn't have killed, and he wants to
Just
keep it
put damage
fresh.
on and make it quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, you can kind of see where Wizzy went for that up smash just a few seconds ago. It's kind of a similar situation to what we saw, almost identical.
Yep.
Just Cosmos air dodged instead. And actually, I didn't see how he took the stock.
I think that
Was it
that
up
was
smash?
no. I think it was roller into up smash. Yeah. And we'll go a little bit further back here. Oh no, it wasn't
Okay,
roller.
just
It was
punishing a whip
just
grab.
punish. Yep.
Okay. Okay. And you can see Wizzy's actually like creating the space here. He's he's kind of feeding off of Cosmos's aggression. It's almost like the opposite of what we saw with Steven.
Yeah, and kind of what we were expecting going into the match too, right?
Yeah. I think it's because Wizzy has the lead, so he can afford to do this. Because on like sometimes like Inkling can kind of run the clock a little bit. Like I played DZ right after Steven played him.
Yep.
And our matches went down to like 2 minutes, sometimes a minute something left on the clock. And like I play Yoshi, which Yoshi kind of has a similar game plan to Mario, to a degree.
Yep.
So it's not uncommon for these Inkling games to kind of go down to the last few minutes.
And that's just because they can like poke for opening without fully committing, right?
Yeah, they can just play really safe. And then on the opponent's side, it's they're kind of discouraged from approaching whenever they have ink on them.
Right.
So not only is Inkling really safe, but also they kind of discourage you from approaching in the first place. Yeah, so you can see here like plenty of fireball, like not really.
Yeah. There's much more varied approach, right?
Yeah, you can see now they're was he starting to throw out some of the back airs, but
Yeah, he's doing much less of the I'm gonna stay over on this side and wait for you to make a mistake. He's trying to punish and pressure down.
yeah. So it's not like you should never hold forward.
Right.
and you should never just like start throwing out these back airs. Like the point is to like make it more unpredictable. So do like a little bit of camping here and then a little bit of approaching there.
And kind of as they're showing in this, do like play to your play to your percentages, right? Like
Mhm.
not necessarily just vary it, but like they were playing extremely safe because they were so high, and you can kind of see how that safe play looks. Like they were playing pretty far away. They were making sure that Inkling couldn't rush them down, and kind of playing keep away a little bit while getting a little bit of damage in.
Yeah, there's that up smash.
Yep. I've got until 11, FYI. So why don't we watch just
Okay.
another 3 stock here? We'll just don't necessarily need to put too much on it, but it's good to see more of the matchup and give Steven some something to go off of. I'm just gonna let it go, but
Yeah,
please feel
sure.
free to chat if you see something interesting.
Yeah, I'm mostly just paying attention to like kind of the distance between the two characters and like who's the one creating distance, who's the one closing the distance, and they seem to be kind of taking turns
Yep.
uh doing that. Like sometimes it's Wizzy who's backing up and Cosmos is coming in, but then other times Cosmos is backing up. That being said, neither one of them is really trying to play like full screen, because it's not really where where either of these characters thrive. There's
Right.
kind of like this sweet spot mid range where like Inkling definitely has a range advantage with the splatter shot. Um,
Getting behind
so
splatter
that kind
shot and
of
grabbing, that was good.
yeah, so that kind of creates like this sort of like bubble around Inkling. This kind of like this around that max range.
Yep.
That tends to be like where the characters are going to be farthest away from each other. Like they're not really going to be. There's no reason for either of them to be farther away than that range. It seems like.
Yep.
And so for Wizzy, it's kind of a matter of playing like just in and outside of that max range, and then looking for openings from there.
It's funny how it evolves because that first stock they were both just like at each other's throats, right? Like fully in melee,
Right.
both trying to rush each other down, and you can see as it evolves over life totals and whatnot how they're trying to stay further away or closer or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. At the beginning of this game, they were playing a lot more just kind of in each other's face. But then once Cosmos got the lead, it was a lot easier for him to sit back and just he could totally dictate the pace of the match and let Wizzy come to him.
Yep.
So I definitely think percent leads are important, and stock leads are important in this matchup, which is all the more reason to play carefully, and not just give your opponent free openings.
That doesn't do that much damage itself. It really just like
Nope.
it's the amplification of the damage later.
Yeah. It does kind of lock you in shield.
Yeah,
It doesn't do any like pretty much any shield damage.
like Mario is pink right now.
Yeah. um, so that when that splatter shot locks you in shield, I have to test it myself, but I believe you can let go of the shield button and your shield will stay up. Um, and you can buffer an option like an aerial shield or a grab or something. And as soon as that splatter shot stops hitting you, that option will come out. Could be wrong about that. I have to test that
Yeah,
because
that
I was actually I was getting mixed up by it.
what you just said was
Like
mostly
when
gobbledygook to me, so we'll go over that next time, I think.
okay, okay.
Yeah, this is a tough spot.
So I'm assuming Wizzy banned FD
Yeah.
and whatever other flat stages there were, but this stage is kind of like a pseudo FD.
Yeah, because they sit to the sides more, right?
Yeah.
Alrighty. I do have a meeting at 11, so I don't think we can finish out that best of three. Sorry, everyone, for not finishing that matchup. But okay. So this, if I bring this over here, no, I just add notepad as a. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. We'll get there. Window capture. Notepad. Okay. So I am going to. We will keep these notes for you, Stephen, in the spreadsheet. We'll put that stuff in for you. I'm actually going to move this pressing W. Character stuff, vary approaches with different moves, i.e., fireball. What is it? Soaker? Super soaker?
Splatter shot.
Splatter shot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, couple of drop combos. I would say, like, I don't know about you, Duffy. My guess is that this is probably fairly low on what to really work on and focus on here. Um,
Yeah, I mean it's something to you probably want to brush up on them. You always want to make sure they're fresh, but it's probably not like the biggest area for improvement.
yep. Probably the biggest one is have patience and read the opponent. It looked like you went into that game with the expectation that you needed to rush down Inkling, and then you did that every moment of that whole game, without kind of taking a second and saying, okay, how should I be approaching this? Taking a couple extra seconds up on the respawn and being like, okay, give yourself a mental break, and just think for like 5 seconds while you're standing up there. Might be helpful. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll keep these for you. For the most part, I think that we got to like hopefully a good focus for you. And when you put in another one, it might not necessarily be against Inkling, but we're gonna keep all this stuff in mind too. So we'll bring up these notes and we'll check in and see how you're doing with them, if you've kind of made some improvements here, and where you're going with it. Cool.
All right.
All right.
Thanks
Well,
for having me on. This
yeah,
was
no
fun.
problem. This is fun. It's like I said, like I am I am not well versed in Smash, but it's good to come at it, learn as much as I can too, right? And hopefully give some people some good feedback on their gameplay and where they're going from here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Looking forward to doing more of these.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. All right, thanks, Duffy. I will see you soon. Have a good one.
All right. See ya.
Have a good weekend, everybody.